WWE 2K24 is about to be out real soon, so here's everything you need to know about this year's game. I gotta start off by saying that this game is very much like a smoother 2K23, but a step at the right direction. How big is that step? You decide after I tell you everything I observed. Presentation is still awesome. LA Knight, for example, has got a new model and his voice line for the LA Knight "Yeah" taunt. Crowd also chants it during his entrance. Stratus has a brand new awesome looking model. We've been asking for it for so many years. Same goes for Io Sky. Completely different looking face now. Bianca Belair looks way better than she ever did. Ultimate Warrior, finally a new attire and a new look for Ultimate Warrior. Becky Lynch looks better than ever. Sami Zayn with his long hair and very big beard. Seth Rollins looks the best that he ever did. It's insane. And Bayley. I don't know what happened with Bayley. Roman still has his big dog entrance when you make him come out alone with a championship, which makes me really sad. But on the bright side, the referees are now real life people and their models look great. They definitely got updated animations from the way they walk to the way they count. They got a facelift, most likely because of the inclusion of special guest referee mode. And it looks like they count faster as they did back in 2K14, 2K15, which I love. It was one of my biggest complaints. On their websites and in all their marketing, they said they revamped the facial expressions this year. And from what I've seen so far, that's absolutely correct. Especially when you look at the entrances, all the facial expressions look just right and natural. I love it. It's a huge improvement. Speaking of entrances, they look as good as ever with the enhanced camera angles and tricks they introduced the last 2 years, but the only new one I came across is the Rhea Ripley Championship entrance that I can remember. Maybe Zelina Vega also has a new entrance. I feel like Kevin also has an updated entrance, but I can't tell. Meanwhile, the majority of the people like Cody, like Seth, has the exact same entrance from last year. That's okay, but as I mentioned before, Roman still doesn't have a Tribal Chief singles entrance, which feels super outdated. Just like the WWE 2K Showcase mode. Look at that transition. It's obvious that they put this mode in the game, as always, solely for marketing purposes, as we have the greatest tech of all time back in it, man. I'm talking about the slingshot tech. You know, the one that cuts to real life footage, so they don't have to do the actual work of animating these cool moments in the game, which is like the only appeal of the showcase mode anyways. So obviously this mode is kind of pointless. You have awkward, low quality, royalty free music during the gameplay sections playing on the background with zero commentary. And Corey Graves speaks over the real life sections and cutscenes, so you don't even get to hear the original audio. It's just lazy, let's call it what it is. But at least the unlockables should be good. You got matches like Rick Rude versus the Ultimate Warrior from WrestleMania 5, Charlotte versus Rhea Ripley, and Roman Reigns versus Cody from last year, including 18 other WrestleMania matches. And more on the trend of disappointments, the commentator team remains the same as last year, so we still got Corey, Cole, and Byron freaking Saxton on the team. And the announcer is the same one that we had in 2K23, aka no Samantha Irving, at least for now. But the titles look great. You got the undisputed WWE Championship, Rhea Ripley's World Heavyweight Championship, looking very pristine. While the UI itself is updated here and there, the menus look a little better, they look a bit more polished, but not insanely different than last year's game. The numbers when the referee is counting for a pin or doing a count out have a different font with black splashes of paint or whatever you may want to call them behind them. The stun meter also had a small touch up, while the wrestler HUD remains almost 100% the same. Last but definitely not the least part for the presentation is the alternate ramp camera angle that you can switch to anytime during a match by going into the options. You can also do this outside of a match, and that way every single match will always start with this new ramp camera view. With this new angle, you're able to see the stage a lot more, which will make the arena you play at 10 times more meaningful. I mean, when I look at the gameplay with this angle on, it just really gives me that old Here Comes the Pain type vibe, which I'm all for, by the way. Same goes for the Royal Rumbles. You're seeing some gameplay right now, and by the way, huge shout out to all the creators for going out there and getting this footage. I've gone ahead and credited each and every single one of them in the description. They all have awesome videos. They're all awesome 2K creators, so you should definitely go ahead and give them a watch after this video. But as you can see, when people get eliminated, they just teleport out of the arena. as they get really close to the Titantron. Also, everyone gets into the ring with a goofy running animation and in the exact same way too. But still, I love that they gave us this option in the first place, and I'm sure in the future games they will add some varied animations for Rumble entrances and a better way to mask people leaving the arena once they get eliminated. What's way cooler is whenever you're watching an AI versus AI match, now you can do everything you could do in the highlight reel with the camera last year, but as the match is going on live. Meaning you can just switch between tons of different camera angles, including the new ramp camera angle, or just use the free cam and your imagination and just do the craziest angles. You can set some favorite angles, and using the D-pad you can switch between them really quickly if you want. I don't know if you remember how disappointing the spectator mode in WWE 2K22's MyGM was. Well, this is basically that, but done in the right way. And yes, just to make sure this isn't restricted to MyGM this year, you have this mode in exhibition matches too. And honestly, this has got to be one of my favorite features of the year. So a couple of small little notes I had about the camera is that whenever you dive off the top, the camera angle changes for a little bit and it looks sweet. I specifically saw this for the elbow drop animation, but I'm sure other animations also have the camera switching up here and there. And I'm not sure if this one is new, but when you go for the pin, now you get a different camera angle. There also seem to be 1 or 2 new kick out reactions and also celebrations right after you get the pin, which are welcome additions. My goodness, I've been talking all this time and we haven't even gotten to the gameplay news yet. So let's start that off with the trade-off minigame. Everyone says that it happens only once a match, but BDE went up against Cody and in their match it happened twice. It was probably because they messed up the first instance, so the game was like, okay, here's a second chance. But in every other example, it's like what people said, it only happens once. And it can happen automatically when you reverse a strike or when you hold down X. And the way it works is that when somebody messes up 3 times, they lose. There are 2 bars, one is closer and bigger and red. The other one is further ahead, it's smaller and it's golden. If you get the golden bar at any point, you win the minigame. But if none of the wrestlers gain an advantage, the game takes you into a hockey fight where the winner is the person who simply mashes X the fastest. And I gotta say, this minigame looks smooth. The results are varied. Everyone does their own signature strong strikes or moves that fit them to finish off the minigame. Looks really well balanced, and it does not seem to get in the way of the match, but in fact, enhance the gameplay, and we love to see it, ladies and gentlemen. Irish Whip got some love this year, as last year when you reverse someone's Irish Whip, it'd just be like any other reversal. This year, if you reverse somebody's Irish Whip, you actually do an Irish Whip to them. And I love it because it's perfect for causing some mayhem, especially backstage, which of course I'll get to the backstage as well. You can also Irish Whip someone who is in a kneeling position now, and the animation looks super fluent. Wrestlers using the ropes to get up, crawling to the corner, or automatically rolling out, those type of stuff, they make their return. But I think they gotta cut down on rolling out because it happens way too much. But more excitingly, you get to crawl a lot more in this game and go for that desperate cover, which is epic, man. In other words, they fixed the fatigued moves from last year, which didn't work too great. Now, any move you do which ends with you landing on your back will make you stay down for a bit if you have no stamina. So it could be a DDT in the middle of the ring, Randy Orton's DDT from the ropes, or an RKO, and the examples can go on and on and on. Another awesome addition, I'd say. Just a day or 2 ago, Brian Williams confirmed taking down the straps, which works the exact same way it did in 2K19. But additionally, the straps stay down even during the victory scenes now. Another thing that's making its return from 2K19 is the degrading face paint. I saw it in a match with the Ultimate Warrior. And to be honest, I'm not 100% sure it's in there, but there are rumors and I would be shocked if it didn't make a return. Some people spotted a Fiend t-shirt in the crowd, so that means he's probably going to have both of his versions in WWE 2K24 carry over from last year. One thing I caught, which must be brand new, is that now you can take off turnbuckle pads while standing on the apron. Isn't that pretty cool? That has to be new, right? Because I've never seen that done before. Blood is back and better than ever. Now it spills to wrestler's chest again, but also to the floor, whether in the ring or outside. The texture quality looks kind of bad though, I don't know why. Maybe they fixed it for the final release version. But yeah, this whole gore and blood thing is way better than last year. I don't think it worked properly last year. It was completely buggy. You can now get up and walk on the announce table. Use the bottles on there as weapons. You can fight up there, do a suplex, a DDT, which won't break the table. Both those moves and all your stocks are reversible. You can still hit your finishers when you're up on the table. You can dive onto your opponent from the top of the table, and you can still dive on the table from the top rope from the ring as well. All right, let's keep on talking about the extreme. Let's talk about the weapons. As a matter of fact, you can now throw weapons, and pretty much all types of weapons besides one. You can also catch them midair with the counter button if somebody else is throwing weapons at you. There are returning types of weapons like trash can, broom, microphone. I say returning because, hey, these were all in the games at one point or another. But brand new weapons as well, like the Zelina's signature slippers, which is a weapon set specifically to her, so she can pull it out from under the ring whenever she wants. Other people like Triple H probably has their sledgehammers, right? And then A Knight can pull a microphone from under the ring. Of course, all these have new and unique taunts and also strike animations from the front and the back too, including some nice looking reversal animations as well. One of the features that I was iffy about were super finishers, but I think after seeing all the gameplay, they are pretty awesome. You need to build up 3 finishers to do one. They have this cool looking UI saying, oh, do a super finisher, and like the text is electrified. And when you do one, the screen kind of goes crazy and you cannot turn this effect off. I point this out because some people just don't enjoy having those effects and would love to be able to have the option to disable them. Those people, you know, some of those people being me. As far as the moves we got for super finishers, we have Cody's Crossroads Trifecta, an amazing top rope stomp from Rollins, top rope brainbuster for Sammy, package pile driver for Owens, and believe me, so much more. And I love the fact that they all make sense. These are kind of like desperation moves, the biggest moves that you can pull off. So how you get to do them makes sense. What type of moves they are, they also make sense. It's great. I think it's 10 times better than the OMG moments, for example. Such a cool idea. And to make it even better, you can have up to 2 super finishers. And I believe up to 5 signatures and 5 finishers. So somebody over there at 2K played some AEW Fight Forever. And by the way, it was incredible to have this feature in Fight Forever. And it will definitely improve the movesets by tenfold in 2K24. And therefore the gameplay will be more fun. So an extremely welcome addition, man. Both the super finishers and the increased amount of finishers and signatures you can do. Side note, Rhea has a top rope riptide for her super finish, and she even does the non-PG pin afterwards, while her normal finisher animation is still that terrible painless looking one. I hope they change that. It'd be one thing if it looked brutal but outdated, but I think this is even worse. So yeah, that animation needs to go away. Backstage has seen some upgrades like a vending machine. Well, a whole bunch of them actually. You go near them and some soda cans and bottles come out, which you can use as a weapon, of course. There's an elevator that lets you carry weapons to the upper parts of the level. You can finally break the glass near the garage entrance. And yes, it's real glass. Cry me a river. You can also have 4 wrestlers going at it backstage now. Pause. However, only when you play online can you have 4 players. What I mean by that is local co-op only lets you play as 2 other wrestlers, which is super weird. Also, interestingly, the camera only follows the players. So the split cam is back, but let's say if the AI is at the other part of the map, the game will not show them at all. Which honestly makes this match type feel like a Battle Royale mode. Especially because the only way to eliminate somebody is by KO. If they enlarge this backstage area further and let us play with 8 wrestlers or maybe even 10 in the next gen, I think it'd be pretty awesome. And they might just pull off what AEW Fight Forever tried to do but failed with the Stadium Stampede. We also got an ambulance that is interactable thanks to the new match type. You can drag people backstage and end the match there during an actual ambulance match. But if it's just a random backstage brawl, you still have all the same interactions as you would in an ambulance match. But once you close both doors, Your opponent just gets out and you continue the match like nothing ever happened. Meanwhile, the ambulance match itself features a cool, unique intro with a light show and the rules being explained, kind of like the War Games match. The idea is to beat down your opponent enough to be able to throw them in an ambulance and close both of the doors. You start by opening the ambulance doors, then you can Irish whip, use the carry system, or drag your opponent to get them inside the ambulance. Once you do that, you can try to close the doors, which initiates the same minigame that you have for submissions. The exact same one. And by the way, the submissions are also the exact same as last year. Meaning you're gonna have to do a lot of button mashing. Now this isn't confirmed, but you were able to do this in the last game, so I assume it's gonna be in 2K24 as well. There is gonna be an accessibility option where you can turn off button mashing, and all you will need to do is hold X or hold Y, whatever button pops up, which I think is a super important option. I don't have a disability myself, but I just hate button mashing. So I think they're gonna put that in there. That way, you know, we will be able to have an easier time with the ambulance match and the submissions. Anyways, you mash those buttons once, you close the first door, you mash them again, you close the second door, which will lead you to sweet victory. Alternatively, you can strike or grapple your opponent when they're leaning on the ambulance doorway to just cause some damage before you go for the win. Now, I've gotta say, the AI versus AI in this match type didn't seem good at all. They barely ever tried to win the match. It just felt like the devs didn't program the AI to win this match at all. But a couple of the content creators I watched said that devs already fixed this and this won't be an issue in the final release, which makes me smile warmly like the sun. The AI also loves to spam the hell out of weapon attacks just like they did in 2K23, so I hope the devs fix that too. Other than that though, these pesky buggers taunt a lot more, seem a lot more aggressive as well, and they challenge you even at normal difficulty. I've also noticed them using the top rope a bit more, and all of this is great to see. Both watching them fight each other or going against them yourself should be a lot more fun now, especially at legend difficulty. So let's talk about the 6 new paybacks this year. 3 of them we know already, and first one of those that we know of is called Rage. One of the wrestlers who has this payback is Cody Rhodes, and it basically lets you instantly get a new finisher. We had almost the exact same payback before 2K22, but the difference here is that when you activate this year's Rage payback, your wrestler immediately watches the Cody Rhodes and The Rock segment from SmackDown, and they're overcome with anger and rage. So they play this crazy looking animation. So you don't get the finisher immediately. You have to sacrifice some time to play that animation, which could put you into trouble. Also, as you know, using paybacks costs you your signature bar. So if that meter is almost filled up, using Rage may be a bad decision. The second new payback is called Iron Jaw, and it lets you negate being stunned completely. Now, interestingly, when you activate this payback while you're on the ground, you immediately start getting up on your feet, making this payback a great alternative to using the instant recovery. And I believe you can use Iron Jaw after signatures and finishers too, so this could potentially be overpowered. The third new payback has to be my favorite. It's called Freeze, and it lets you freeze your opponents right on their tracks. This gives you an opening to get back on the offense. What makes it actually cool is that there is more than one animation for this payback, so not every wrestler will do the exact same thing to freeze their opponents in place. Some will beg, some will motion them to stop. I like it. I think it's a pretty cool idea. And I've noticed a ton of superstars have this as their payback this year, so 2K must really like it too. Here's another thing 2K loves this year. It's the new move animation you're seeing right now. Boot to the gut and then a forearm. Literally every single wrestler seems to have this one, so I'm already sick of seeing it. I'm not gonna lie. Speaking of new animations, the rope bounce animation for male wrestlers have been reworked and it looks a lot more fluent now. All of the pin animations are brand new this year. They also look great in terms of quality, and they also guarantee we won't be seeing the jarring transition of the arms to the correct position every time we go for a pin. This actually kind of drove me crazy in the last 2 games, and I'm so glad it's going to be heavily reduced now. I say heavily reduced because moves with pin combos that are pre-2K22 will still have this problem. I cry so hard, man. Longest suplex reversal animation in history. It makes its triumphant return this year, and I have zero clue why. Another returning animation is the 3 elbows to the back when someone is leaning on the ropes. I'm sure many of you are familiar with this animation. It's been in the games for a millennia at this point. But it no longer ends with the one receiving the move falling on his back after the 3rd elbow. They instead crash into the ropes one more time, then turn around and feed for a move which is a huge improvement in my opinion. Just keeps the action going. Dismantling the announce table animation can now be interrupted right after you take the top of the table off. And perhaps even before that, but I haven't seen it yet. The trade-off minigame can definitely happen more than once, according to all the new footage I watched. It can also happen as the first thing ever in the match or at the very end, so there's no set time or condition for this to happen. You decide what strike you're going to do by pushing your thumbstick up, down, left, or right. So there are 4 different strikes you can do, and then 2 different sets of animations. One for the beginning of the match where the wrestlers will be energetic, and another one that you'll potentially see towards the end of the match when your wrestlers have really low stamina. This animation set will obviously have the wrestlers look a lot more fatigued, a lot more desperate. Again, it's those little details that's gonna make this game so much fun to play. I appreciate it, but I'm kind of scared because doing the trade-off minigame more than once in a match might be too much. We'll have to actually play the game to come to a conclusion on that though. Wrestlers now have different type of what I like to call idle selling animations when they're down. Check out how Cody is selling right now when he's on his back. This reminds me of 2K15 because that game also had unique animations like this. One of the animations even had the wrestler lying on their side. They should totally expand on this in the next game. Alright, let's talk about another new gameplay update, which might be the best one of the year because it makes executing rebound moves 10 times easier. Basically, after Irish whipping your opponent, if you press the grapple button too early for the move, your wrestler will wait as if they're about to do a charging finisher and initiate the grapple at the exact right moment. And guess what? This is even better. If you end up pressing the grapple button far too late, your wrestler will automatically do a leapfrog or a drop down to give you another chance at hitting your move. So while I'm sure it will happen every now and then, the good old chest bump animation should be an issue of the past. And in my humble opinion, whoever came up with this should get a raise, just being honest. Another quality of life update is the returning reversal helpers, meaning they basically tell you if you're late or early when pressing the reversal button, though they look like they've been made by a toddler. I don't know why they look so basic. Now getting back to the new move animations, Bianca Belair now has a new KOD with a pin combo. It looks sick. She still has the old animation as well as a front grapple finish, if you want to do that. Her super finisher is a 450 this year. Some people voiced their disappointment and said, why couldn't her super finisher be a KOD from the top rope or the second rope? And you know what? Hey, I kinda agree. But we still don't know her full moveset yet, so maybe that's actually a thing. We'll have to wait and see. Charlotte has a real weird cross line as a signature from the corner. I've seen it done multiple times and it never looks like it connects properly. Perhaps it will be fixed by the time the full game is out. Zelina Vega has a brand new signature animation. It's a standing dragon sleeper. Shout out to Malachi Black, by the way. She also does a sunset flip powerbomb after jumping off the second rope as a super finisher. Yes, that's also a new animation and I think it looks awesome. As you know, the referees this year, they've gotten a lot of love. And one of the new things I noticed about them is that they seem to be detecting rope breaks a lot faster. They call a rope break out even before you can completely go for the cover. Now this may lead to some inaccurate moments, but hey, that's nothing new with wrestling games and rope breaks. They used an old animation for LA Knight's leaping top rope superplex. Now while he's doing it, he does this like rock and roll motion. Maybe this belonged to someone from the Midnight Express, I'm not sure. If you are, let me know down in the comments. But at least LA Knight has a new wake up taunt. He also uses the elbow drop as one of his new signatures with the crowd chanting along.
He's returning.
They've updated the model of Randy Orton. While he still has his old attire, they've got rid of his mustache, and that's right, you put some respect on the Viper's name. Also, big news, everybody. One of the crowd shirts finally confirmed Jey Uso to be in WWE 2K24. I mean, duh. But it was confirmed as the main event, Jey Uso. Yeet. We also finally have heel Dominic with the mullet making it into this year's game, and I am so happy. There are 75 other confirmed names for the game so far. The roster will probably reach up to a number somewhat higher than 250, especially with the superstar packs from the season pass. Be sure to subscribe and give this video a like for more awesome WWE 2K24 content. Moving on, there are 7 returning and brand new wrestlers confirmed so far for the game. Those go as Chelsea Green, Dusty Rhodes 76, Muhammad Ali, Rick Rude, Ricky Steamboat, Stardust, and Superstar Billy Graham. Muhammad Ali will be in the base game and not as DLC. That's pretty cool, right? His inclusion also alludes to a match that happened at WrestleMania 1 being included in the showcase mode. He was a special referee and outside referee in that match, as a matter of fact. But that was a crazy tag team match with a lot of people. So I'm not exactly sure how they're gonna manage it, but we'll see where it goes. All right, let's speak some more about referees. As you know, they're infamous for their insane bumps. And in the last game, you were able to cause these bumps to happen by hitting, grappling, or running through them with wrestlers that are bigger than the referees. This year, however, you can also cause a ref bump off of a springboard, as you can see right here. This is all thanks to the new update to diving moves. They look and work the exact same way as they did last year, but now if there's someone else standing close by to a person who's taking a flying move, they're also going down. I think it's a pretty smart way to handle it, so kudos to 2K. We also have a whole bunch of WrestleMania arenas and showcase matches confirmed, but I'm not going to spoil them for you. Just know that the showcase mode has a couple of matches from every decade, starting from the 80s, 90s, the 2000s, and so on and so forth. Backstage brawls can now start in much more varied locations instead of the same place. You can start from the ring and go backstage and finish the ambulance match there in the parking lot. And we already talked about there being blood decals and blood spilling onto the mat, on the ground and all that. But I noticed that they actually stay there permanently, even during the victory animations, so you can look back at all the mayhem you've caused. Unlike older games, the place you get busted open isn't limited to your forehead anymore. It can also be the bridge of your nose, the corner of your eyebrow, and so on and so forth. Thanks to the new ramp camera angle this year, we can see that Titantrons do play in the Royal Rumble match whenever someone is making their entrance. The best way to see it is to play in one of the modern arenas with the Giantrons. It actually looks kind of crazy. The Casket match also has an intro similar to the War Games and the Ambulance match. Presentation is the lifeblood of wrestling, so this is a great touch. Love to see it. This is the victory animation for the Casket match. As you know, the ambulance victory animation is super short and everybody does the same thing. I feel like that's gonna be the case for the Casket match as well, but I would have hoped they would have at least given Undertaker and Kane a different animation where they don't sit on the casket itself, because it looks kind of goofy on their part. Also, I wouldn't be amiss if I didn't mention the fact that this new lighting you're seeing right now, although it's very subtle, it definitely makes a difference, and the difference it makes, I feel like, makes the game look better. You can finally use corner springboard moves as a finisher. This most likely got introduced because of Cody Rhodes, the cover star, and his endless variations of Cody cutters. The AI actually uses corner springboards and springboard moves in general a lot more regularly this year. And the AI really goes for weapons under the ring in extreme matches. It will also use the new Trouble Weapons feature. See, Trouble Weapons used to be in older games like Here Comes the Pain, but the AI would never use it themselves, or at least in the case of Here Comes the Pain. I played that game a lot and I barely remember the AI using it. But regardless, I'm super happy to see that 2K took the extra step here and made sure AI takes advantage of everything the game has to offer. I hope they do more springboards into the ring as well, because these small details really do add up in the end, man. And more to this point, the AI is much more aggressive when they have an opponent in the corner turnbuckle. Last year, they waited too long, or they sauntered slowly towards you to perform a simple grapple. And most of the time, they didn't even bother doing any running moves. But this year, it seems like they just bolt towards an opponent and try to get them with a running strike immediately. Now, hopefully it doesn't happen all the time, but I do like the fact that they made this change, because superstars like Ricochet, LA Knight, and many others have unique reversal animations for that situation specifically. And they are all great looking animations that will spice up the gameplay further. Let's start with the biggest match type of the year, special guest referee. They've done an amazing job bringing this back, merging all the cool aspects of the older games like Here Comes the Pain and later titles such as WWE 2K24. But before I explain exactly what that means, let's get the bad news out of the way. The special guest referee match type is only limited to one-on-one matches, okay? I said it, alright? I did it. So take deep breaths, just relax. Okay, we're good? Let's go ahead because trust me, it gets better. First, let's talk about the fact that you can create your own special referee attire. And the way it's done is very similar to creating a manager attire. Just go to Superstar Creation and select whatever you're creating as the referee attire, and that's pretty much it. But if you don't want to do that, the game will automatically give the guest referee a classic attire. So that's the classic ref shirt, the black pants. But if you look at the wrestlers who've gotten this automatic attire, you'll see that they have their armbands, their elbow pads. In other words, anything they wear on their arms, they don't get removed, they actually stay, even when they get an automatic referee attire, which is an interesting detail. And if these two options don't suit you, then you can even choose for the special guest referee to use their ring/manager attire too. The special referees will get an entrance as well, even if you choose a manager. Now, I've seen Paul Heyman do a very generic referee entrance, and he looks extremely weird without a suit, I gotta tell you. Anyhow, everything that I've just talked about happens before the match. After the bell rings, however, as the guest referee, you can literally perform every single action an NPC referee can in the game. There is a referee meter on the top left, and it will judge you. It will judge you hard on all your actions, like counting the pins too slow, too fast, or right on time. And it will go up or down based upon your performance. As someone is getting pinned, you can go down and check for the pin, aka get into the position to start counting. Besides the obvious fast count or whatnot, you can mess with one of the wrestlers in the match by calling a rope break at any time they go for a pin or submission, even when there is no rope break. And when a wrestler is in a submission, you can even do a screw job, which is an awesome feature, but you will need a finisher store to be able to call it, so keep that in mind. But again, you have to watch for that bar on the top left, as other things will mess with it too. For example, if someone brings a weapon in the ring in a no DQ match, as the referee, you need to take that weapon from their hands and throw it out of the ring as soon as possible. The game even has these clear indications with exclamation marks to make sure you understand exactly what the current problem is. Again, it could be a weapon left in the ring, it could be a turnbuckle that is left exposed. Of course, if the wrestlers don't let you take the weapon from them and hit you or the other participant in the match, or do any other illegal activity, you can go right ahead and disqualify them. If they go on the top rope, you can warn them to come back down. If they go outside, you can start counting. And while counting, you can do the animation where the ref goes in between the top and the middle rope to signal the wrestlers to come back in. And of course, you have the good old, hey, no, don't go out there animation as you're seeing right now. I'm sure you've seen this one a ton of times. But man, all this to say, being a referee is not too easy, is it? Well, this could get even more difficult because managers. You'll have to watch for their antics too. And hey, if there's someone who you particularly dislike, you can kick them off the match at any time. You don't have to wait till the managers mess with you. You know what? As a referee, you have the power to do that. Or here's the best option. If you're sick of it all, you can just switch to wrestler mode, because there are two modes in this match type for the special guest referee. The first is the referee mode, of course, where you can do everything that I just mentioned, but with just the press of a button, you can switch to the wrestler mode, which will basically turn your control scheme to the normal one, and you can do all your moves, all your finishers, and just go create an insane amount of chaos. Speaking of finishers, one of the questions I had was, wait, as a special guest referee, how do you get these finishers, these signatures built up? And before getting to the next fact, I gotta give a shout out to Assemble specifically, as he's the one who told me about this. In 2K24, there's a new way to get momentum as a referee. The better and the more fair you are at your job as a referee, the more your momentum bar will start to fill up. So if you count the pins properly, if you check the submissions properly, that's gonna translate into a finisher. But man, if you don't want to be fair, if you just want to cause chaos, and if you ignore your duties as a referee far too much, the bar on the top left that I talked about, it will empty out and a new referee will start making their way to the ring. While that's happening, you still have a chance to do anything you want, including counting the pin and finishing the match. So that bar depleting doesn't mean game over for you. And what's even cooler is that even after another referee takes over your spot, you don't exit the arena. You're instead relegated into a manager position. You can hang out outside of the ring, do whatever you want, or you can go in and mess with the match even more after that. But that's gonna be the finish line for you after a while. because eventually your replacement referee will get furious with you and they will eject you from ringside, get you out of the arena, and that's pretty much gonna be the final thing you can do as a former special referee. After that, you can spectate the match. That means you can use all the cool camera angles, or you can assign your controller to another wrestler and continue participating in the match. So as you can see, it's basically a way more detailed version of what we had in 2K14. But what makes this the best iteration of the match type we've ever seen is the fact that you can actually disable that special referee meter on the top left completely and do whatever you please. But you can only toggle this option on or off before starting the match. And there's even more to talk about when it comes to special referee. You can, of course, make the matches for a title, for 2 titles if you want. Or you can put the money in the bank on the line. And my favorite thing has to be the fact that the AI will pay attention to their allies and rivals as the special referee. Now, as you know, in 2K23, the AI won't attack their teammates in Battle Royale / Rumbles unless they're the only 2, 3, whatever left in the ring. Well, in the special referee match type, the AI will, for example, do a faster count when an ally goes for a cover, and they may end up doing a slow count for a rival, or they might just straight up ignore their pin attempt. So in the end, although this mode is limited to only one-on-one matches, 2K did an outstanding job bringing this mode back into the series. So kudos where it's due. And from one match type to another, I would like to call this a sleeper hit. I did not think the Gauntlet match would be as cool as it is in 2K24. Now, there are 3 types of Gauntlet matches: the normal Gauntlet, the Eliminator Gauntlet, and the Turmoil Gauntlet. In each of these versions, you can have up to 4 or 30 wrestlers participate. So in the normal Gauntlet match, 2 wrestlers will start in the ring. As one person is eliminated, another will come in, and the last man standing is the winner. In a Turmoil Gauntlet match, it will be 1 versus all. One wrestler will have to go up against a team of wrestlers. And that one wrestler has to eliminate each and every single one of those members of the team one by one in order to win the match. If he loses to any one of them, the match is over. So there you go. Crank it up to the legend difficulty. Pick a superstar with a low overall, which in this game, this year, it's not going to be too tough to do. And there you go, man. You have a great challenge. And speaking of fun, I gotta say, Gauntlet Eliminator just sounds awesome. It's basically like a normal Gauntlet match, but with 8 people in the ring. It is also very similar to a Royal Rumble match, but the difference is you can enable pins, you can enable submissions, you can disable either one. And again, you can still have 30 people come out. So the match, I believe, starts with 2 people, and then you have a countdown and more people join up until there's 8. And then whenever somebody is eliminated through whatever means, another person comes in until we get rid of all 29 and the last man wins. And here's the thing. Like I said, you can disable submissions and pins. You can mess with the rules and make it so that anyone who gets hit with a finisher gets eliminated. Maybe first blood is the elimination. And you can even confine every single person to the ring. They cannot go outside at all. So there you go. For any New Japan fans out there, you can probably do a over-the-top battle royale with submissions and pinfalls included too. And all I gotta say to that is, I like it. Now, in these Gauntlet matches, as a new wrestler make their entrance after an elimination, they simply appear at the top of the stage and they don't come to ringside through the gorilla position. And they usually just walk to the ring. Now, in a normal or an Eliminator Gauntlet, your star, after pinning or submitting somebody, they'll celebrate, do a little animation. So you'll have to stay in the ring until the other person gets in there and then you can start fighting. But if it's an Eliminator Gauntlet, there's 8 people, there's chaos. You can go ahead while the new wrestler is walking into the ring. You can just interrupt their entrance and start punching them, hitting them. But yeah, in the other 2 versions, your wrestler will just like taunt and wait for the other person to come into the ring. So that's how the entrances are handled after an elimination. But what about the people who need to walk backstage? Well, what happens to them is that they slowly walk to the Titantron and then they go to the left or to the right. They usually end up going through the Titantron, like literally just going in instead of taking the actual exit. But it's cool because they disappear from our view and then they kind of like vanish. Whereas in the Royal Rumble matches, for example, they do the same walk, the exact same animation, right up to the Titantron. And once they get to the top of the stage, they just disappear, as we can still see them. So we can see them vanish perfectly. I don't know why they didn't do the same thing in the Rumbles, where, yeah, the wrestlers just go through the Titantron and then they vanish, right? I would assume it'd just be copy-paste. It wouldn't be too difficult, but hey, that's a question for another day. Now let's get to the next match type. As you know, the Casket match returns, and it looks quite similar to the Ambulance match. And the biggest thing about this match type you need to know is that there are a decent number of ways you can engage with the Casket. When you're inside the ring, for example, you can hammer whip someone towards it, and they'll take a huge Shawn Michaels-esque bump to the outside when the casket is closed. You can open the casket when you're walking on the apron, or by getting out of the ring and going to either the top or the bottom side of it. Once the casket is open, if you hammer whip someone from the ring again, they will of course bump right into the casket. You can go ahead and close the lid from there. Now, other ways of getting them into that casket include doing a carry move over the ropes. From my observations though, that only has one animation, and it's the one you're seeing right now. You can strike/grapple someone standing on the apron and cause them to fall in there while you're inside of the ring yourself. If both of you are standing on the apron, you can strike your opponent to cause them to fall in the casket as well. And if you're the one that's on the apron and your opponent's inside the ring, you can grapple them to do a DDT. I've heard people say that there's a suplex animation as well, where you will obviously put your opponent in the casket that way. Or you can let the opponent do all the work, stand on the apron yourself, and wait for them to rush towards you for a grapple or a strike. As you hit them with a reversal, and bam, you can just watch them fall right in as you get out of the way to the casket. From outside the ring, with the carry system, you can powerbomb or use an AA to dunk people in there as well. The carry system also lets you powerbomb people on the casket when the door is closed. And again, with the carry system, if you approach the casket from the up or the bottom side, you can do a snake eyes animation on there. Oh, and don't forget about the fact that you can either strip people to the sides of the casket too. And you can do a grappling attack if you want, where your wrestler will smash the opponent's head onto the casket instead of just throwing them in. Again, very much like the Ambulance match. Of course, there are a lot of ways the wrestlers will maneuver over or near the casket while getting in and out of the ring themselves. So 2K was definitely not lazy when it comes to animating all of that. Once someone is in the casket and you're trying to shut that door down, you're gonna need to deal with the same minigame that you have for the Ambulance match and every single one of the submissions in the entire game. Of course, I'm talking about the ever-persistent button mashing minigame. And sadly, you cannot dive onto your opponents if they're laying in the casket from anywhere. As you can see here, when you try to do it from the top rope, your wrestler just sort of goes, I don't get paid enough for that, and they refuse to do it. So that was all you needed to know about the match types. Let's go ahead and talk about some more general facts now. The action figure Cody Rhodes, yes, there is an action figure of Cody Rhodes, by the way, in the game, just like how we had John Cena last year. Well, that figure can bleed, technically. He will even have splatters on the ground, but the blood does not show up on his model. In my last facts video, I mentioned the renewed rope bounce animations for all wrestlers. I noticed there are superstar specific ones too. For example, Rey Mysterio bounces from the second rope as he does in real life, which is a great touch by 2K. We finally got to see the Fireball, which is one of the 6 new paybacks this year. Here's how it looks like. It also leaves burn marks on the face of the wrestlers unfortunate enough to be at the receiving end of this payback. In the same vein, the Poison Mist for Shinsuke has a red color instead of green. I know it's a simple color change, but it makes a big difference if you're a fan of Shinsuke especially. And let me tell you, Shinsuke has been updated a lot this year. We're talking new hair, new beard, new attire, and probably some more that I'm missing. Moreover, some of the other wrestlers have the mist payback too, and they can have the mist in different colors. It doesn't have to be red. Now, although some people say it's not enough, and I hear you, believe me, I do, 2K24 boasts the biggest NXT roster to date, with tons of NXT wrestlers already in the base game, and then even more incoming like Lyra Valkyrie with the Season Pass. Now, I'm sure you've all heard about it, so I'm gonna keep it short. This year, we have an awesome Season Pass that includes wrestlers and managers like CM Punk. And it's coming out a month after the game releases, by the way. Jade Cargill. Well, she's gonna take a little longer. In fact, We're talking about September. That's right. Jade Cargill and a whole bunch of other wrestlers will be released in September. But you got Lex Luger, Mr. Perfect, Lyra Valkyrie. I think that's how you actually say her name. And even people like Great Muta. So lots of wrestlers, great range, though we're not going to be talking about the Pat McAfee pack. All right, we're not going to do it. Moving on, we have the entirety of the roster, well, except one name, and their attributes revealed. And the disrespect 2K has shown this year has gotten me mad, probably gotten you mad, all the other fans and the wrestlers themselves as well. They said in the last game, man, everybody was at a 90. Now in this one, we wanted to make it so if you're 90 or if you have an attribute over 90, it should mean something. And that's why you're seeing all these low ratings this year. But that's still not a good excuse for some of the ratings, like for example, Kurt Angle at an 89. Kurt Angle at an 89. And believe me, ladies and gentlemen, the list goes on and on. And guess what? Attributes may matter more than ever, because now if a wrestler has less than 85 attribute points, they will not be able to use resiliency as a payback. Okay, so speaking of not being able to use things, remember how I just mentioned that we got nearly all of the roster revealed? Well, there's one name that's missing, and we're talking about the Beast Incarnate Brock Lesnar. It is not confirmed 100% as of yet, but it's looking more and more like we're going to have Brock Lesnar in the showcase mode, maybe potentially for a storyline or two in MyRise mode. We're going to play against him, maybe even play as him in the showcase. But that's going to be it. He's not going to be an unlockable. That is the only way you're going to be able to access Brock Lesnar, because it's too late at the development stage to remove Brock Lesnar. I mean, the game is coming out, what, in less than a week now? But yeah, that's a spicy topic. Let's move on to something cooler. Dominic Mysterio. Not only did he get some love by Rhea Ripley, but he's got a lot of love from 2K this year as well, man. We're talking new hair, new attire, new title entrance by himself, together with Rhea Ripley, and then with the rest of the Judgment Day. And on top of all of that, he even has a new title victory animation. Dominic Mysterio might literally be the most updated star on the roster, and I don't hate it. I've also noticed that Rhea Ripley has a new title victory animation too. Double title ladder matches are confirmed for one-on-one and even multi-man matches. This particular piece of information, I found it from Assemble's video. Again, a huge shout out to him for reaching out to the devs and confirming this one. Also, of course, I'm going to take this moment to tell you to check out, after this video, of course, every single creator you're seeing on screen right now. They're all amazing. And I can't thank them enough for providing us with such awesome footage, content, and knowledge, man. You guys rock. Now, moving on to tag team matches. Here's something that makes me smile, because they're going to be a lot less annoying this year. First of all, you can give commands to your AI partners using the D-pad, while you yourself are the legal partner. These commands go as follows. Remove the turnbuckle, set up a table, pass a weapon, attack the opposing team's illegal partner. And this reminds me of what we had in Here Comes the Pain, where if you taunted in the ring, your tag partner would get in there and start causing some mayhem. So again, they brought something that's old back to the fold, but they made it gold. There you go. There's a couple of rhymes for you. The second change now I want to touch on is called the illegal tag partner debuff. And I think it's amazing, because with this debuff, any of the tag partners, if they get in the ring and leave once, they won't be able to come back until they get tagged in the match and become legal. That's when this debuff is going to reset. So this means that they're not going to be able to get in there every single time you go for a pin or for a submission. No, they only get one shot. And this will heavily reduce the AI just getting in there for every single pin and making these matches tedious to play. And if you allow simulating matches, I mean, AI versus AI tag team matches were a no-go for so many years. Now, it might actually be fun to simulate them, because, hey, they're not gonna go on for 2 hours. And when I say 2 hours, by the way, I'm not exaggerating. If you know, you know. If you know, you know. Oh my god. Lita finally got fixed. I can't believe my eyes. End of an era, ladies and gentlemen. End of an era. And it is finally confirmed that we have 3 in-ring announcers now in the game. We're talking Samantha Irvin, Alicia Taylor, and Mike Rome. Unfortunate part is that they're locked to specific arenas. So for example, Alicia Taylor will only be available in NXT arenas, Here's another small detail that really matters. Samantha does the Chelsea green thing.
And from Victoria, British Columbia, Canada, Chelsea Green!
Let's go. Thanks to the showcase mode, we will have the 2015 versions of both Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins. I'm especially happy that we get 2015 Seth Rollins because, I mean, let's be honest. That was his prime, man. That was his prime. This screenshot heavily implies, and I say implies because 2K themselves haven't come out and 100% confirmed that this is the case, but it implies that the attires you unlock in my faction can be used in all other modes too. We have the return of flash photography, as if we're back in the early 2000s. I mean, it's not really realistic, we don't see it nowadays, but man, it takes me back, so you know what, I like it. But let me know what you think. We have all 4 faces of Mick Foley, these being Dude Love, Mankind, Cactus Jack, and Mick Foley himself as a manager. All finisher animations can be set up as a super finish. You just need to press one button to enable or disable if that was going to be a super finish or not. You can use Slim Jims as a weapon. They work just like the candlesticks do. The same exact thing goes for guitars, except they break in spectacular fashion after one hit. The mic and Zelina's slippers share the same animation set. I believe you can add the soda cans into that conversation as well. There are 3 new double title entrances, rounding up to a 4. Because in 2K23 we only had 1. You can also now choose your double championship victory animation this year, and there are 7 options. One of those 7 options, number 7 specifically, is Daniel Bryan's double title victory animation from WrestleMania 30. They probably had this entrance in the vault and said, let's just bring it back. Kind of crazy to see. We learned of more wrestlers that can pull down their straps, but again, only a select few wrestlers can do this, as far as we know. And Brian Williams did confirm that we cannot give this to our created wrestlers. The evening/night arenas are back. There seem to be 1 or 2 WrestleMania arenas that will have these versions. I forgot this here, but I'm gonna read it anyways. You can use any wrestler, manager as special referee, or even choose the official refs in the game if you'd like and play as them. Yeah, this should have been in the beginning of the video. Oopsie. Roman has a new entrance motion with Solo and Paul, which looks awesome, but he still uses the Big Dog era animations from years ago for all his singles entrances and victories. Honestly, it's super baffling to me. Just copy paste this new animation you're seeing right now for his singles title entrance and problem solved. I mean, here Roman doesn't even interact with any of the bloodline, so it'd just be perfect. I don't know why we still have the Big Dog animations for Roman Reigns. Like, he is your main champion. What are you doing, 2K? In my previous facts video, I said tired moves only happen on certain moves when you land flat on your back. But look at this badass animation with Solo. So the moves that work with this feature is actually a lot more than I initially noticed. There are also 4 versions of Bray Wyatt in the game. We're talking about The Fiend, the Firefly Funhouse, Bray Wyatt, another NWO version from his showcase match with Cena, and finally, the cult leader version of Wyatt, which is definitely my favorite. Now let's talk about MyRise a little bit, only a little bit, because gameplay wise it looks almost 100% the same, but the male storyline starts big. My character's voice acting seemed really bad though, I'm not gonna lie. Other than that, at least the story, like I said, looks promising. The bump makes its debut in the series, and it's actually a pretty awesome touch. Looks really well done, and it's used as a narrative tool to summarize what's going on with our wrestlers in the storylines of MyRise. Cathy Kelly also made it into the game. That's interesting. Maybe she plays a part in MyRise as well. There's a couple of new titles for MyRise, and judging by their look and their name, we could be having another time jump situation in the story like we did back in 2K20, or I don't know, maybe an alternate universe. We'll see soon. We do know, however, one of the titles is related to the beginning of the women's MyRise. The objectives during the matches are usually not too specific. It tells you to damage someone for a certain amount, and then it leads into a cutscene after you're done. This cutscene is of course completely in-game. They really should have used this exact same method for Showcase 2, but hey, that's another topic. And that's gonna be it for MyRise, because anything else I'll say will be spoilers, and I want you to go into this mode as fresh as you can possibly be. Create a Superstar mode now has a quick save feature which lets you save at any point of your creation. So if the game crashes or you make a big mistake or whatever, You won't need to start from the very beginning. That is huge. There are many new hairstyles added to the creation suit this year, and they're mostly from wrestlers who were already in the game, like Alexa, Sky. We can go on and on with these. They did this last year too, and don't worry, for the male wrestlers as well. And I think it's great because the hair models that come from this look so high quality. They look great, so I love to see it. Also, I'm sure you already noticed, but the background you see in the Superstar creation suit is changed to an empty arena with your wrestler standing in the ring. The best part is that everything is kind of dark, meaning your eyes won't melt off looking at a bright screen as you're working away at your creation for hours upon hours. Unfortunately, the same 100 wrestlers and 1000 logo limit returns. This is bad news, especially because shout out to Dre41 Gaming. I learned that the 1000 logo limit is actually worse than it sounds. If you have really high quality logos, you don't even need to hit 1000 before the game caps your limit. So what in the blue hell, you know, you could have like 800 logos with their super high quality, a bunch of megabytes, and the game says, you know what, I know you didn't hit 1000 logos, but you're done already. So I definitely understood why people always complained about this 1000 logo situation. And now I see it's even worse, like so much worse than I ever thought it was. That's why they definitely have to get on this and fix it as soon as possible. You can put championships on the line for Royal Rumble matches once again. And yes, you can also do double bout matches. The crowd has some new call-outs during entrances. Like here in this entrance, for some reason they're roasting the hell out of Bailey. The WrestleMania 39 arena is very cool looking, but the Titantrons are all messed up. As you can see, they're not lined up at all. And because of the taller rampway, sometimes the camera angles and entrances can get messed up. So these are two other things that 2K definitely needs to fix up. It's not all bad, however. At the WrestleMania 39 stage, you can go to the very sides of the stage thanks to its unique design. If you liked how the menu looked in 2K22 and 23, you will like how it looks in 24 as well. As you can see, it's basically the same, but with noticeable improvements like crispier looking UI in general and actual ring/arena at the background. And in my opinion, the most important thing is that the play button is in the middle and is going to be the first thing you can select once you get into the game instead of the showcase mode like it was last year, which it really didn't make sense. So nice one, 2K. Universe mode is virtually the same, however. The UI is updated for the actions and it makes things look a lot more clearer, but that's about it. It almost feels as if the devs have forgotten about this mode, that it ever exists, to be honest with you, as they've been doing for the better part of a decade. So I'm not really surprised here, just disappointed. My GM has a bit more meat on its bones though. We have 4 new GMs, Teddy Long, Paul Heyman, William Regal, Ted DiBiase for the mode now available. You can train wrestlers now as well. For example, if there's a wrestler you like and you want to invest in them, this will help you do that. In fact, you can even change their class. So you should have no obstacles in creating a new star or even just improving the compatibility of your roster. And last but not least, all of the new match types that are available in 2K24 are also available for use in MyGM and the Universe mode as well. And there you have it, folks. This was quite possibly everything you needed to know about WWE 2K24.